Hey there viewers, my name is Torinski and welcome back to another DCSS Sunday. Today we're going to be jumping back into the usual, trying to get a victory with every species in the game here, finally achieve after many years the much vaunted Great Player achievement, at least unofficially since we're playing offline of course. But things were going pretty well. We managed to complete Kobold last week, and today we're going to be jumping into Demonspawn, which I'm definitely excited about. Probably one of my favorite species in the game, if just because the mutation system allows for some interesting results to trickle through. So we'll have to see what kind of Demonspawn mutations we get today and what kind of character we'll be running. Just before we hop in, I made a note last week about how I really liked the Tengu with the Hydra behind it in terms of the splash art for the loading screen. I'd also completely forgotten that this one even existed. I absolutely love this friendly old snail man. Maybe some kind of avatar of Chabriados, who's to say, but definitely always want to give credit to the loading art screens because I think that they're all really cool and so many of them are so fun and so whimsical. But that out of the way, we are pretty much ready to hop into things here. We will not be Stabold. Stabold is now living a long, healthy life outside of the dungeon, living with his family and people once more. And today, we'll instead be a Demonspawn. So, as a brief little overview, Demonspawn are one of the evil species of the game because of the demon heritage that they inherit, of course. So, some things that we'll notice right away is we can't worship any of the good gods, the big three at least, the shiny one, Elivilon. Oh, if I ever said Ellie's name out loud, the full one, almost stumbled over that one. And now I can't even remember, or Zin. There we go. What a great start to the day here. Already forgetting some of the obvious things, especially since Zin we just worshipped a while back. But we can't worship any of the three good gods. We can't wield any holy branded weapons, and of course silver and holy will also hurt us real bad. And so, with that in our mind here, we'll jump into it. And we have Savid, hello. Asking about the Abyss Knight, which I had forgotten about that plan, so I'm glad that you popped in to remind us here. We will be going with an Abyssal Knight. I'm slightly worried because I don't have the greatest understanding of the background here, but that's part of what makes it so interesting, and we can have a whole lot of fun with it regardless. But maybe even figure out what this Luganu deity is all about, you know? So with that, let's pop in. It doesn't matter too much which weapon we start out with here, largely up to our own discretion, because Demonspawn across the board have fairly average aptitudes, nothing too bad, nothing too great, a lot of negative ones, so it's whatever we'd like to see moving forward. Let's see here. Axes are always real fun. We haven't had any good polearm runs really this entire time, so maybe we'll try out some spear action today. That could work out for us. Let's try that. You have no good demon puns, Demonspawn? Yeah, no, I wasn't sure. I was trying to brainstorm some Demonspawn ideas. I mean, I've been watching some of Amazon's version of the Wheel of Time, and it's gotten me back to thinking about those books, even though I haven't read them in a long time, so all I could think of were some of the Forsaken from that. But your suggestion there gave me a brief idea. Why don't we become demons? Cannot do apostrophes. Everyone just imagine there's an apostrophe in there because we'll be the Demonspawn, I think. I like the sound of that. Especially as a follower of Luganu, we are following the whims of a strange abyssal creature. Seems appropriate at the very least. So let's pop on there. One of the other things that we'll briefly touch on as we start up our Demonspawn is, of course, the mutation system that we talked about earlier. As we level up at random levels throughout our journey, we'll be gaining some mutations from our demonic heritage. Depending on a few factors, it'll determine which ones we get. So the first distinction that we can make is that you can either become a monstrous Demonspawn or a regular. Monstrous Demonspawn are very rare, but if we do that, we end up physically mutating a whole lot, growing horns, talons, everything every which way. You get 3 body slots is the more specific, better way to probably phrase that, as well as a couple of the higher tier 2 mutations and 1 tier 3 for everyone. On the other side, with the 90% of all Demonspawn, we'll just be finding ourselves with 5 mutations across the board, 1 body slot, I think, 1 level 1, or 1 scales rather, 2 tier 2s, 1 tier 3. So fairly similar either way, but it will kind of determine how we can build our character. With all those body slot mutations, we won't be able to wear too much armor, but we will have a lot of offensive capability, so a bit of a trade-off there. And as a normal Demonspawn, which is the only one I've actually ever played, I've played a decent number of Demonspawn, but I've never rolled a monstrous one, or at least the only monstrous Demonspawns that I've managed to get in the past have died too early to get to experience the monstrosity, as it were. So we'll have to see what kind of Demonspawn we turn out to be at the start of the game here, but we'll go through some of the mutations we gain as we level up, as we progress, and see how it goes. But as always, let's start off with setting everything up here. So training, we'll just start on polearms right away. Turn off everything else. We could start training invocations right away, and probably will relatively soon. One of the few things that Demonspawn are good at training, and we surprisingly do have a deity right at the start here as an Abyssal Knight, so might have to give that one a bit of a thought. Of course, we'll also make sure our auto pickup is all correct. This is also going to be important right at the start here, because we'll get a bit of a chance to search around the abyss for some treasure before we head up into the regular old dungeon and try that out. So last but not least, we'll of course do a quick morgue dump rather. Pop this bad boy up, steal the siege, and post that on screen in case there's anybody out there who wants to join us along for the ride here, see how well you perform on the exact same seed and all that good stuff. There we are. And with that, I guess we're ready to start hopping into it here. Hopefully finding some treasure and nothing too scary right away. Could dive deeper into the abyss. That seems a little bit risky. Also, one of the rare times that we find an early gateway out of the abyss is when it's not even necessary, and we'll just be leaving of our own volition anyway. +2 buckler though, can't complain about that. And you just want to see someone use a distortion weapon, no one ever does. We'll have to see. We'll probably end up doing so here. It's always nice when you can banish a bunch of enemies as you go throughout. Maybe even find Rift, since we were talking about that last time. And looks like we're on the verge of getting surrounded. One thing we can do is just head down further. I don't like getting temporary mutations right off the bat. That's not great. But I'm going to push the limits as far as treasure that we find before the game even starts here. It's always nice to eke out some early advantages when you're able to in the game. And so yeah, for anyone who's unaware, as an Abyssal Knight, we get to wander around the abyss at the start, and at any time we can depart the abyss using Luganu's ability here. And so it gives us that slight opportunity to, as mentioned, try and gather up some treasures here. Even just the +2 buckler is probably about as good as you can ask for going through. Potion, depends on what it is of course, but hopefully that also turns into an advantage we can eke out right away here. These sons of guns move very quickly, so I think rather than just dying to one hit from this buddy, it is about at the end of our rope here, so let us depart the abyss. We pass through the gate, and now we start our regular old run right at the beginning. We do lose any of the starting piety that we got for Luganu, which I guess we could have circumvented by heading out one of the early upstairs, but it's still a very nice start to the run here, and so we go. Probably even turn on shields for training right away, set it to this cap with S, and then we'll be using that pretty quickly here. Right now our attack delay is exactly once per turn. If we put that on, still once per turn, so that's actually definitely worth it for some early defense here. Let's take a view back into a lovely hallway. Perfect, no daggers of venom this time, so that's always good. A bit better than we've been seeing on many of our characters as of late. And perfect. It's going to be fairly straightforward for the first little bit here, just because we are playing as a bit of a sword and board kind of character as Polar of Lugana, at least for the first couple levels here. We might transition into a bit of spellcasting, especially since that's something that I always very much appreciate in my characters, but we'll see when that happens, of course. And just when I start talking about it being regular, boring old start to the dungeon, we of course do get our very first demonic mutation here. So our feet start to thicken and deform, which I believe is the start of hooves. Yes, we have large cloven feet. So we get an auxiliary kick attack, and as our feet grow, we will eventually be unable to wear shoes. That doesn't happen for a little bit here. Scarf of Resistance is also another very nice early find in the dungeon. Would be pretty sweet to finally have a character for once that didn't struggle with resistances across the board the entire run. Not that I want to get too greedy, of course. Happy with whatever you have prepped up for us today, game. DCSS giveth, DCSS taketh away, of course. Definitely an alright start here. Again, very happy not to see some scary early enchantments. Oh, even that Quokka I was expecting to be a little bit nastier of an encounter. Never know when Quokkas are going to be an extremely short fight like that, or they're just going to dodge everything and we're going to go into an extended duel to the death here. And we have to make our first decision here as we reach level 3. Decide on maybe where we want to be taking this character. We could lean a little bit more into strength, of course, especially if we want to be wearing heavier armor. Even if we're casting spells later, it can be nice to have that. Or if we really want to commit into the spellcasting idea, we can definitely start heading or leading points into intelligence. So one of the interesting things with Demonspawn is you never really know which mutations you're going to get, and that can oftentimes determine where you want to take your character in the future, because there are a few mutations that are very set out to help with spellcasting or a bit more useful in combat, even though those ones at least kind of go both ways. Even as a spellcaster, you'll be swinging your weapon occasionally. So we'll definitely have to pay attention to those and decide as we move forward. And of course, as we're talking again, take a little pause, we did get our next mutation, our first scales mutation. So we have icy blue scales. These scales mutations will give us some armor class bonus for the first couple tiers, and then the third tier, I believe we get resistance to cold. So that'll be nice to have an innate resistance stacked up on our side of things. Let's be honest, you went polearms, so you could get your free trident and wield it like a pitchfork. That is the plan, especially since we were just talking last week about the old standby classic that we saw of finding artifact tridents in the early floors of the dungeon. Hasn't happened in a while, but maybe, just maybe, we'll see it pop up in this game. Always helps to stack the deck in your favor in terms of crossing your fingers and hoping that we get the exceptionally lucky result that is in no way the norm. But of course, we never don't have it, so it will almost assuredly show up at some point. But there we go, D1, definitely no problems, really. Nice and straightforward. Just as I was talking about no problems, eh? Tasha, you just have to show up, and you don't fall through the hole? What the heck? Ma'am? Also, getting slowed is no good, but if the cockroach could clog up the way, that's perfect. And now we can do our usual technique of just avoiding Natasha as much as possible, trying our very best not to murder the poor animal in cold blood here. Though it may mean skipping a decent chunk of floor 2 here, depending on the layout, of course, where they walk around to. I mean, we do have a nice downstairs right here that we can pop down if we do decide to just skip it for now, not worry about accidentally taking out the poor pet cat. But we can manually walk around. It's a good opportunity, one of the rare chances to actually get used to walking manually, since we so often just use auto explore these days. Of course, it comes with its own issues potentially, where it might run us into a problem. Even when we found that bone snake in the corridor a few minutes ago, I was not paying attention whatsoever and stepped into it a couple times without even noticing, so that's always a great opening move here. lesser known strategy to always make silly mistakes and walk straight into enemies without paying attention. Don't see how that could possibly go wrong. That looks like we're starting to push the boundaries of how much of this floor we can explore. I think I'll stay away from the left side so we don't disturb Natasha's good old sun nap here. And that is good enough for me. So alrighty, hopefully we don't lose out too much for missing some early experience. You never know when that will come around and bite you in the butt a little bit. But for the most part, we should be okay. And at level 4, we get the second tier of Icy Scales, which is just more armor class, which we definitely are in desperate need of. I don't think we found any armor that I've missed. No, in fact, absolutely none, which is kind of odd. So at some point in the near future, we'll probably want to switch out from our leather armor. And maybe we should take a brief second here to also check out what the heck Lugana even gets us here. So we get innate protection from unwielding distortion weapons, so we can freely switch between one. That might definitely come in handy in the future. We do find one here. Departing from the Abyss, we saw earlier as our first Pip of Piety ability here. We can also bend space around ourselves. So let's double check that real quick and see how exactly this works out. Bends the fabric of space, instantly translocating the user a short distance and possibly also translocating and damaging other adjacent creatures. In warping the fabric of space, this ability ignores effects that would usually prevent translocations. An invocation skill increases the chance of affecting nearby creatures and the damage dealt to those infected. So I think this is the free chaos blink that David was just mentioning in chat here. Could definitely work out for us, especially since it doesn't cost PD. As long as we have the health and magic to do it, we get a free random blink chance here. Also, blinking our enemies is going to be a bit wild to say the least, but seems like a nice ability early on for sure. And finally, we do find ourselves with some armor, so we'll throw that on right away, bringing us up to a half decent overall armor class here. Now I'm going to try my best to leave the bat alive here, so I'm evoking my spear to try and poke through, get the adder, and that way we don't have to deal with the poison damage. We did accidentally kill the bat right at the end there, but we managed to output enough damage to kill the snake without any bad poisoning happening. So already getting to show off just a little bit of the advantages that using a polearm will bring to us. Get some free hits with our boomerang as that enemy approaches. Okay, turns out we didn't have to be quite as worried about the adder in the first place as I was. That one going fairly smoothly. And hello, Terrence. Forced into hiding after a botched job, there's a price on his head. Can't afford to leave anyone who sees him alive. Well, we've already saw you, Terrence, so let's do this. Let's dance, you and I. Should have also checked what enchantment you have. Flail of Protection. So we should be able to take on Terrence here if things start to go poorly. We of course have that nice chaotic blink to get out of a tricky situation. And alright, definitely not the greatest start already. So let's maybe block off our view of over this direction a little bit, try and lean the blink towards wanting to take us closer to the stairs instead. And then let's bend space for the first time. Not exactly what I was hoping for. Let's maybe try that one more time. There we go. Just completely out of Terrence's purview here. And with that, and run around for a bit of a loop-de-loop here. And head to those stairs. Unfortunately, not the best fight against Terrence. I mean, instead of running away here, what I may do instead is switch over to poison darts. We can hit you, get that ticking. And I think we can just cheese the system a little bit here, bend space, get you to follow us around. Maybe throw another poison dart here or there just to get that stacked up. I don't believe we're one hit away from death, even though it was closer than I would have liked. Now we're definitely in a rough spot. It screams, I want your blood. Settle down there, bud. Please and thank you. Okay, this is definitely rougher than I thought. I was hoping we could get lucky with some bend space, but that's what I get for relying on random placement. Take me somewhere good. Walk around until we have a little bit more health. Maybe double check your overall damage. 5 plus your flail. So we're getting close to the point where we're not going to be one shot here. Chaos Blink can't fail us 3 times in a row. Fortunately, we just can barely afford the health part of it, but I feel you there. Or not, as Terrence gets the random energy towards us. Don't do that, please, sir. Gosh darn it. It's just about to enact Blink Protocol. This is what we do. So let's instead walk here. And now we have some space. We are almost dead. But hey, let's lean into this. We'll blink out, using up 1/3 of our remaining health. Throw a couple of poison darts. And there we go. We managed to take out Terrence. You son of a gun. Way sketchier of a situation than we had any right to run into early on here. I mean, of course, yeah, easy fight, much as safe it says. Not even worried for a moment. Had that under control the whole time. But it's a good opportunity to test out our bend space for the first time. Try it on for size, see how she goes. So we hear the sound of rushing water. So as always, we'll try and head towards a corner of the map. Ah, never mind, we'll just find the sewer right away instead. Perfect. That works out much better. Didn't even have to go searching far and wide today. Oh, and hello, Purgy, never know what to call you. Extremely dangerous. Yeah, I'll say. 35 health is definitely going to be a tough one here. We could immediately resort to bending space, and if it takes us across the deep water, that's probably pretty solid. Let's cross our fingers. Okay, not quite where we wanted to go here, but definitely still a decent start. We can throw some poison darts, maybe just keep blinking away, keep this pattern going as long as we're able to keep it up. Please, sir, can you take me somewhere a little bit better? There we go. Definitely happier with that. But we're not dishing out quite as much damage as I would like either. We failed to use it at 7%. I'm actually surprised that hadn't happened already by this point. Let's do another quick check. 9 damage, claw for 4 twice. So we're looking at 17 maxed out here. A little bit scary. This entire encounter, I think, is going to be a bit of a struggle to the end here. I was hoping to get a bit of a luckier blink. Fortunately, not quite the case. We'll run away and head into this corner so we can regenerate some of the magic we need. And one last time, don't fail me now, bend space. Beautiful. Wait, can you can't cross deep water, right? You absolute fool. And so this is our life now. Please don't wake up anything else, Purgy. That would be nice. As we throw all of our boomerangs at life's problems here. It might be a bit of a rough fight, rather. Who knows how many of these we'll manage to mulch before we finish the job. It does look like we're making progress, slowly but surely. Always a little bit hard to tell with trolls since they regenerate so fast. We'll come with the sphere. We could let him, yeah, come back up to us here. Let's throw the occasional poke into it. Let you come back to us. And this is our life now. Caught in an endless battle against this poor starving troll. Always feel slightly bad for taking out Purgy, but unfortunately, I do want the treasures that abound here. Oh my gosh. Bunch of bad rolls in a row, and we've definitely backslid just a wee bit here. Oh my gosh, back to full health. And we're down to only 2 boomerangs. How many stones can I throw at you? Will this ever do enough damage? Quick test here. Answer is looking like a no. Okay, so what else can we do here? We could resort to potions. We could wait for them to walk back and then maybe walk away and hope that we didn't leave too much of a scent trail behind. Maybe even check out these doors that we're able to. Run away from me, please. Okay, slightly better. Oh no, did you realize there's a walkway? Crap. And mistakes were made. We can fight you the old-fashioned way a little bit here. See how it goes. But before we get too low, I probably want to start bending space and time. One more time. Ouch. Jeez Louise. Crazy, yeah, the regen is very brutal. Can't argue with you there for sure. What a great start to our run, just spending an eternity trading slaps with, again, this emancipated troll, or emanciated, I should say. Since that's the actual word I want. We could start trying some potions. Another blink could bring us adjacent, and then we're dead. Which is not great. Definitely not exactly what we were looking for here. I was hoping to get blinked over here to reclaim some of our poison darts. Oh, what a wild ride already. Let's let Perry walk up to us, because when we blink, this kind of reduces the odds of us getting right next to them, because we can't end up in the exact same place. So hopefully this goes slightly better. I guess if we fail, we might die, so that's probably a bad call overall. Hello, friend. We didn't manage to pick up any more darts, but we can wait here some turns. Make sure that we aren't completely running out our Zot clock. Sorry, he just looks very sad. Oh, and says don't hit me. I'm so sorry. Okay, can I keep you alive? I probably can, right? Using blinking. Do we need to add another unique onto our don't kill list? Poor troll doesn't deserve it. Okay, we'll open up some of these. Let's pick this up. Blink away. I do want some of these back if possible. Then we'll blink away. Please don't find that. Dang it. I was hoping that we could pull a fast one on you, of course, but that's fine. Instead, just bend space here. Keep doing this strange little song and dance. Let's see, how many darts are here? Just one, just one. Okay, probably just about ready to get the heck out of here. Just need to gain some space. And definitely kind of an uneventful trip to the sewers here, but not because we can't, of course, not at all because of the struggle that we've been going through, but just because of our mercy, how good of a person we are. Let's leave you alive for the rest of eternity here. Sorry for entering your home and disturbing your peace. That's honestly insensitive of me, and shouldn't have even thought to do so in the first place. Or if you die, it's okay because you have a great name, Mad Demon. Perfect. It's always nice to have a little bit of a backup supply of names, just in case the worst should occur. Also, holy cow. Just started tabbing into this buddy. Immediately regretting my decisions, especially since what's really dumb. So we largely took damage due to the corrosion right after picking up a ring that resists just such an occasion from occurring. So we'll walk around for a little bit until the corroded status leaves us here. Feeling like a real fool. And then let's spend the half turn to put on this ring, and that should allow us to finish this fight. Yes, not quite as expediently or well as I expected. Oh, and yeah, he didn't mean suicide on the jelly. I just loved your name suggestion so much that I decided to throw it all away. But speaking of throw it all away, I've already made another air. That's a good representation of maybe how the rest of today will go. I don't think my mind is completely in the right headspace right now because we're trapped in a corner here. Instead of taking the right skirts around these, you always need to take those tight drifts. We are now in a place where we take extra damage if we step out, so we could enact bend space, try and blink out. That's half decent. There's also not great odds that we die even with one step, so we could risk it for sure. But I think I will try to bend space. Puts us completely just back on the trajectory that we should have originally been on if I hadn't made such a foolish error. So I'll take that. That works for me. Now we'll just heal up a little bit more. In fact, we can take advantage of gaps like this to reach out with our poking implement here. And then let's try and take a couple swings. There we go. Would have been a very embarrassing defeat to accidentally murder ourselves on that slime, but managed to recover fortunately enough here, even hitting level 6. So I think I'll keep pumping into intelligence at least a little bit here. Might want some strength, especially if we want to wear some of the heavier armors in the game, like gold dragon scales later on. And we'll also quickly trek back, grab these boots that we left behind, at least until our hooves get too big to be accommodating of said boots. We can definitely take advantage of the extra armor class point here. Looking to be in a half decent spot moving forward, despite all my best attempts to run this character into the ground early on. So Scorpion is a little bit sketchy. If we can get the poison dart shot, it's a 50-50 chance each time, then we should be looking much safer thanks to the susceptibility to said poison. And perfect. I've definitely had enough runs cut short by an early Scorpion that I try my best to always remember some of the better ways to take them out, or at least to be a little bit safer in our attempts. This one, Dagger of Electrocution, is not actually a bad weapon early on here, but I think we're happy with our Spear for now. Looking to switch it out for a Trident eventually. Also, Confusion, not fantastic here. Probably even do the poking trick again, just try and reach past this buddy to the wizard until they swap spots, and then we'll just be forced to duke it out the old-fashioned way. Wow, fought so long that they actually became visible again. That's a bit of a rough one. But still managed to pull through in one piece here. Always lucky when your early orc packs don't have any priests to lay on the guaranteed damage on top of the hit attempts. And turns out this entire floor is just going to be the level of invisible monsters. Sky Beast is another one we should be able to fight. We do manage to, so that's great. Hopefully we run into enemies that we can actually get a good look at with the rest of the floor here. We'll also for sure want to take a break in just a moment here to read through some of our early scrolls, try and see if we can eke out any advantages from our consumables early on here. We're Council Shrine. Gives me fond memories now. I'm very glad that we got turned on to trying out that deity in our kobold runs. It's definitely a god I want to try out some more in the future. Especially on different types of characters. Stabby and maybe a bit more hex-based or something like that. There we go, we can see with a priest and a wizard, slightly sketchier time making our way through the orc pack, but still managed to do so. This is a very fun vault. The Trog altar, the Moth of Wrath ready to berserk each and every enemy here. Even a berserked rat might pose a bit of a trouble to us, and a berserk worm would definitely be a little bit sketchy. Please come my way, friend. I want to get you out of sight of our moth buddy. There we go. Yes, Moth of Wrath. Hello, hello. Nothing we need there, so we'll just continue on. Yeah, relatively uneventful start to the run here. Nothing too sketchy showing up, only my own stupidity causing close calls, which is definitely usually a good thing. Not the fact that my stupidity causes close calls, of course, but just the fact that we haven't had to worry about too much. There we go. Managed to soften up the jelly that time around with some stones. That's a much safer way probably to deal with them. Even with the resist corrosion ring on, never know when you're gonna get unlucky on those rolls and have a bit of a hard time. And wow, at level 8, we already get our maxed out scales mutations. You never know what order they're gonna hit you in. You know that you're gonna get a certain amount from each category, but we can see here that we happen to get all the scale upgrades right away, bringing us up to 4 AC and that cold resistance that we mentioned earlier. Which, I mean, might have been a little bit more crucial if we hadn't already found the Scarf of Resistance, but I still can't complain. Hopefully we find an early ice caverns or something and we can fully take advantage of that mutation. And now we should also take this as an opportunity to read those scrolls like we mentioned up above. We'll stand on the stairs and start reading. Identify is always nice here. We can for sure start on potions, hopefully finding curing and heal wounds. Haste is actually also pretty spectacular. And heal wounds? No, 2 potions of resistance already though. Huh, that's wild. I guess for now we'll just continue on without too much changed. Let's definitely get out of sight range of that alarm trap as soon as possible. Early alarm trap sounds like a recipe for disaster here. And not too bad. Oh my gosh, look at that. We do get to take advantage of our double cold resistance immediately. Take that, white imp. You never stood a chance. 2 more scrolls. We could keep going with potions. I usually like to, just to get that heal wounds, but with just single stacks and 4 of them, not great odds. So I think I will switch over to the scroll side of things instead. See what some of our larger stacks are. Noise and enchant weapon. Unfortunately, neither of which is exceptionally useful in the short term here. But that's fine. Always good to have more things identified for the future regardless, of course. As we finish up D6. Let's do a quick search for polearm, make sure I didn't miss anything. We will be wanting to switch up to a trident as soon as possible here, most likely. Obviously preferring a branded one if possible as well. Another white imp. Can't complain about that. Necrophages, as I've mentioned many times in the past, are also kind of nice monsters to find because they have relatively high hit dice and therefore relatively high amount of experience on kill relative to their difficulty to take out. So, definitely already a bit sketchier than I was hoping. I was wondering if we could go toe-to-toe with you, but definitely not quite yet. With 13 AC, we're probably lacking just a little bit in that department. But we can also see that we've managed to get a few more of our abilities from Luganu, which means this is probably a great time to start training our invocations, because this is one of the few that I have a half-decent understanding of. We can banish our enemies, so they will show up in the Abyss, and we could even run into them in the Abyss in the future. We don't get all the experience from the kill anyway. Oh, never mind. Perfect timing. Safe advantage gives you full XP, by the way. So your chance you run into them down there never happens. This is so fast after all. That's the spirit. Just believe hard enough. Don't worry, Luganu's got you for a brand fem. Best brand in the game. That beautiful, sweet distortion brand. But yeah, so we can take care of some tougher enemies as long as they don't have too high of a willpower, because I think they do have a chance to resist, of course. And so yeah, if we banish them, we gain some beauty and the creature's full experience value. So I think that was changed at one point. Back in the day, you used to kind of hamper yourself by banishing too many creatures. That's definitely an interesting thought for the future. And we also gain Corrupt, so we can corrupt the current level, unleash abyssal energy, and
then that changes the appearance and gates in creatures from the abyss. I don't think they attack us either. Regardless, if they do, they definitely attack our enemies as well, so that's always nice. This can definitely be used in interesting ways. Also one of the few spells, I believe, that can take out some of the harder walls in the game. So we'll see if we can leverage it in that fashion at some point. But for now, I'll just be bending space like you do. Try and get a little bit more poison on. Unfortunately, no dice. So we'll switch over to our flame wand instead. And there we go. One little poke from the spear does the trick after all. Not bad. We did manage to take out our first ogre. Always a little bit of an achievement in its own right. Well, unfortunately, none of these whites have the weapon type that I would like to have shown up, but that's fine. We can still try and take them on one by one. We will have to switch stairs. We left a pack of raging whites and another ogre, of course, down there, which is not great. Definitely far from ideal. But +2 gloves. That's not far from ideal. That's quite perfect for us at this stage in the game. Putting us in a slightly better position for the future here. I think we should be able to take you, even with the +4 falchion. Perfect. A little sketchier than I otherwise might have liked, but we got there. Amulet of Guardian Spirit. See how that goes moving forward. Unfortunately, this is a bit of a rough spot with the ogre and frog combo, especially since I almost stupidly got myself smacked around by the ogre. Oh, now the white's gonna join the party? That's definitely not great. Change our trajectory a little bit there, just trying to keep only the frog hitting us as we move forward. And then just you we should be able to take. But okay. It's an ogre-filled floor, apparently. D7. Who would have thought? Rue's redirection will be nerfed in 0.28. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe we'll have to check out Rue at some point in this version of the game then, because it's somebody who I don't have much experience in, so I can't speak too well to how that change will affect things moving forward. I'm guessing from the sad face that that's one of your favorite deity choices, or at least one of your more common ones there, Colgate. Oh my gosh, and we left you behind somehow. We must have been ships in the night there, just passing by each other by sheer chance. So we will take another intelligence, and we get our next demonic mutation here. So sharp spines emerge from parts of your body. This will, I believe, cause some reflection damage, cause some enemies to take damage when they hit us. Demonspawn are one of those species that I oftentimes bring up the wiki on my other monitor here just to make sure that I have a bit of a resource for checking mutations. So I think I did pull that up before the stream today and can do a quick check on what exactly this means. It's one of our tier 2 faucets, and we get Spiny. Automatic retaliation to monsters in melee range. So it is just another auxiliary attack against melee monsters. Definitely works well with our cloven feet here, so hopefully can take advantage of both those to dish out a decent amount of damage to all those around us. It's almost a shame that we're not using axes here, because we would have a pretty incredible overall amount of cleave damage between the two. Also was slightly worried about this Orc Warrior fight, but it's actually going better than I could have expected, besides the fact the priest is healing them up at way too prodigious of a rate. So let's switch over to Ice Blast and just try and absolutely nuke all these friends. Get the heck out of here. Much better. Also managing to pick up some plate, which encumbrance rating is a little high. But we can see that we'd also gain 2 AC, so have to think about that as a potential trade-off here for sure.